Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the You're Delusional podcast hosted by myself, LaTerra Wair. Hello, everybody. Hi, guys. Hi, guys. Hi, guys. So the production quality is going up a little bit. I know I look kind of Raggedy Ann today because I am in the process of getting my life together. But so it's been a couple of weeks since I've been on any type of long form content, to be very honest with you. And this is my first week back. This is my first video back. For those of you who don't know me, I guess that doesn't make any sense. My name is LaTerra Wair. I'm a digital media creator across various platforms on the internet. If you guys want to follow any of those short form things, all of the things will be right here as well as in the description below. I feel like I'm coming back looking like a whole different person. Like, I think the last time I saw you guys, I still had braids in, and also for the audio listeners also as well, my braids are not in anymore, and my hair is the darkest it has been in so many years. This is like my full natural hair, grown out. Some of the tips are still brown, but for the most part, it's dark. It's black again. It's kind of crazy to me because I haven't been this girl in some time. I got a lot to catch up with you guys about, honestly. So usually in the intros, I'd be like, everything's fine, you know, the same, da 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 da. But actually this time, no, things have changed. I have been, well, let me start from the beginning. I got fired. Yeah. Because I got fired, this whole last week, I've been babysitting my nephew. He is the most adorable, cutest, love him. I love him and his sister. I am an auntie to my core. I love being an aunt. Being an aunt is one of my favorite things. And I always joke about, like, when I have children, how am I supposed to tell them that these aren't my first kids? Because, you know, like, love them down. I enjoyed getting to spend the week over at my brother and his girlfriends. It's really like nice being around family. And I love all that kind of good stuff and all that. So that's where I've been. About the firing thing, I know I just glanced over it. I am going to make a whole story time. I did a story time video when I did my hair, and it's going to come out this Sunday. So if you want to know what happened, the video will be out this Sunday. I am perfectly fine. Everything is really good. And I think that what getting fired has taught me kind of like a lot of things. This happened 2 weeks ago, so I really had time to like sit and understand and like resonate on it and all that kind of stuff, which is why I'm talking about it and whatever. The biggest thing that it's kind of taught me is that this last 5 years, like, so since I got out of college, when I was still in college, my last year of college, I was dating this guy. And when I was dating this guy, I was living at this apartment. I moved from my first apartment to this other apartment, and the rent was like so much higher at this other apartment. The guy that I was dating had then decided he was going to go back home and go to college. And then so that meant that I was just going to be left with all of the rent, right? At the time, I was working at Victoria's Secret as a brand ops supervisor, and at that job, I was making like $14. So I could not afford my entire rent, because I think my rent for the month was like $1,400, but then I still had my car note and all this kind of stuff on top of that, and I was still in school. Because of that, I ended up taking a job where I made like at least I think I made $8 more than I was making. And that's where I ended up working. At that job, I started driving an hour away from work, or it was like 45 minutes, which eventually turned into like an hour. And I had never made a long commute like that before. My only other jobs, like the furthest I had driven for a job is maybe 30 minutes. And so then I kind of got this thing ingrained in my head with just like driving a long time. But also it wasn't more so like I'm driving because I wanted to. At the point, I'm driving because now I'm kind of stuck in like a money trap. And this was my only source of income at this time as well. Now things are a little different because I do have like multiple sources of income. So I'm not necessarily like tied to a place off one specific financial value. I'm kind of like, I need to make X amount of dollars in total. And because of that, that opens up a lot of options for me. So because of this, I just kind of got stuck in this loop of like driving an hour away. And how do I say this? If you are someone who is a long commuter, then you would probably understand this more so than anything. But if you have to drive like 45 minutes to an hour away from work, that then adds realistically like 2 hours on top of what you're already working. So in my case, I was working 10-hour work days, which means that I was really working 12-hour work days. On the shifts that I'd be working 12-hour days there, that would mean that I'm now working a 14-hour day because I'm adding in the 2 hours of commute time. And it's not necessarily that, like I'm working in my brain and da 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 da, but it is like you're driving, and driving gets tiring, especially like I've done this now for 5 years. And moving forward, I guess that has kind of taught me a lot of just about like, I was so used to doing that. And now I just really don't want to go back to doing that. I found myself getting very overly sad on some of these drives home. I found myself getting so like, dude, this doesn't feel worth it, but I'm only doing this because of the money. And I don't like to think that I'm only doing something because of money, because then I'm like, that doesn't really fulfill me. That doesn't like fuel my soul and all this kind of stuff or whatever. Not what that's about. We're not getting into that hippie rant, but that was kind of the place I was at. Getting fired was one of those things that, first of all, I've never been fired. Like, in my whole job history, and if you know me, I've had like 1,010 jobs at this point in my life. But like, I've never been fired, especially like never been fired for, I don't know, just what I was fired for. And that's, again, you can watch the video on Sunday. Something that really showed me though is like, it wasn't my work ethic. It wasn't my whatever. This was just a one-off type of situation. And like from that, I think that I did find a lot of peace. And legitly, when the person delivered the news to me telling me that I was fired, I just said, okay. Like, there was no heat that radiated through my body like that I get when I'm super anxious. There was no confusion. There was no like anger or anything like that. I was just kind of like, okay. And in that moment, I don't really know what I was thinking. I just kind of thought like, okay, like it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna figure it out type of situation. And also I didn't feel like I had lost something that like, this is why I was put here. This was like my purpose. Going into the job transparently, it did feel like this was kind of a transition piece for me, a transition out of something. And the something was the job that I had taken for the money. I had taken the job for the money because of my life and because of whatever. I think that I got into it, and when it happened, it just didn't feel wrong. In a sense, it just felt like this is where my life is going. This is what we're going to do. And I'm a big, how do I say, like, when the girls be talking and the girls just be like, oh, the crystals and the angel numbers and da da da. I'm not a crystal believer, nothing like that. Like, I don't charge up my crystals and stuff, and nothing to the people who do. But like, I do believe in angel numbers. I believe in like, sometimes you see things or sometimes you see signs. That's the best way to put this. I believe in the signs, and the signs are telling me I'm going to be okay. It's not something that I'm actively looking for. It's not something that I'm like, okay, I need to see a 222 or I need to see a 444 today to know that my life is going to be on track. But I think that when I do see it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's very affirming. It's very okay. Like, I'm an angel number type of girly. I'm a signs type of girly. And I do believe in guidance. I believe that like something is guiding my path in life, and I'm here for it. I'm going to keep doing what I'm going to keep doing. I think that is like the biggest part of the getting fired thing, is that I was not doing anything that was not out of my normal to be doing. And that has never led me astray. So I'm not going to stop what I'm doing. Honestly, when I reflect back on the situation, when I took this job, because I was so like, I was really committed to what I was doing there. I was really making the content and all this kind of stuff. And then it was starting to cause fatigue for me, fatigue on a sense of like what I was doing afterwards in my life, like fatigue in a sense of in my own content in this. And like, I've been gone for 2 weeks. Because I didn't have anything planned out. And that is because I was super ingrained in what I was doing. I was kind of being consumed, and not consumed in a bad way. It was consumed I just wanted to make sure I was doing good at my job. After that, I'm also still trying to make sure I'm being a good student. So I have to make sure that my school is paid for. And for me, I think that when I got fired, I had been talking about this with a couple of people beforehand. It was just a simple like, I am doing a lot here and I kind of am getting nothing back for what I'm doing. Monetarily, I'm getting nothing back. And that's why I'm still working a second job, because I need to be compensated for like school, because I still want to go to school and still want things to fulfill me. There were things like benefit issues and stuff like that that were kind of just like, I really am giving so much here to just like do what I'm already doing. And it's kind of taking away from me. And for me, it felt like the ether, the universe, it really took that away from me, because it was like taking me off my path. It was taking me off my course of direction. And I know the hating type girlies is going to say that this is just how I'm compartmentalizing. You know what? That's fine too. I truly do believe that. I truly do believe that it was kind of a thing where I was giving so much of myself and so much of a commitment to a thing, but there was no compromise. If you guys know me, you know that I always think that there's a compromise that comes in life. A lot of the times there's a sacrifice that needs to be made for things that you want sometimes, because you can't just have everything all at one time. It's just not meant to be that type of way. That's something that I have really been thinking about, and just kind of like been thinking about the magic of alignment. Like, I really do believe in alignment, and I don't know if you guys get that about me at this point. I don't know if you see the hippiness and the what I be doing, whatever, but like, I truly do believe in alignment, and I believe in the purpose and how your life is supposed to be. And I just think that this is one of those things that it wasn't aligned for me. It wasn't like my path. And so I've kind of been going down this thing of just looking for different opportunities. And I feel like I've found so many more opportunities now. Maybe it's because I haven't been looking for like a couple of months or whatever, but I do think I found a lot of opportunities. A lot of people have reached out to me, and everything is going really grand. I must say that everything is going so great that I haven't even had time to be sad, I guess. I don't feel sad, nothing about that. People have reached out to me from the place and they've been like, that's crazy. And maybe also it's a thing of like, anyone who I tell the story to, they're kind of like, nah, that's not on you. And I agree. I think sometimes it's harder to feel bad when everyone else is also kind of like, that's BS, because and even if they weren't, it's okay. Life's good, everything's great. I want to come on here with y'all, share this with you, but also just more so share like just things about alignment and things about how things work out. Like, I feel like I've never been in a situation where anything bad has kind of happened. Like, everything bad that has happened to me in my life, I have quickly seen that it was for the purpose of this, or if that didn't happen, then this couldn't have happened, And I think that is why I truly do believe in alignment. And I truly do believe that there are things that have to happen, like guiding stones. Like, when people say that you can have a fixed point in your life, or things happen, certain things are fixed points in life that have to happen to you. They have to be there to build your character, build your arc, all this kind of stuff. Hold on to art, because we're going to talk in a little bit. For you to have a story, for you to have a testimony. As the people say, without a test, there's no testimony, and the cliches without all this. And I say that as well. You always have to be true to your alignment and know like where you are aligned, and know that you're going to be okay, because you're following in the path that is set out for you, and that you believe is set out for you, and that you chose to follow. All of that hoopla going forward, let's go into our You're Delusional take. This is something that I actually heard first in a podcast, and then it's something that I started to hear a lot more frequently, and I wanted to kind of talk about this. The You're Delusional is, as a woman, you shouldn't desire marriage and or a family before the age of 30. I've been hearing this actually quite a lot, and I definitely agree with the sense of, you should not let society tell you that should be your only goal. That should be like the reason you're here. That should be your purpose. I completely agree with that. And when the ladies stand on that side of it, I completely agree. I think that you should want what you should want, and it shouldn't be because something was like pushed or forced upon you, and that's just what you believe. I think that if you don't want that, if you want to be someone who want to be out here popping your panty, popping that puss, it's okay. And you just got to do that when you want to do that at your time, because that is what you want to do in your life, right? And that's perfectly fine. But however, let me say this. I believe that I don't agree with how, because history was how history was at one point, does not mean that some people did not want to live in that choice. And when I say that, I mean that a lot of people lean back on this stance of women had to choose these things and had to do these things solely for financial stability, financial freedom, financial all this. And because they couldn't be anything in life without a husband, and we don't have to do that now. I completely agree with that. Like, you don't have to do that now. But this is me coming from how they say a hit dog is gonna holla. As someone who is financially stable, who is in a good place in life, like home-wise, shelter-wise, all this kind of stuff, I do want marriage, and I am 26. I want to be married. I want to have children. I want to have a family. Is that something that I would do at this point in my life? Absolutely. At 26, that is something that I would absolutely do at this point in my life because of what that means to me. Not because of what everyone else has said, not because of what my faith has said, not because of this, because of what I think marriage to be, and because of what I feel like someone getting married to another person means to me, and what I think children mean to me. And I think that it's very important for us as women as a collective, because not man hating, but this isn't a man conversation, in my opinion. As far as my women, I think that we, in a collective, it's very important to say where you stand on something, but I think it's also very important to emphasize that this is how you feel. And if you were talking to someone, that would be the advice that you give them. But you have to be careful about this line that you walk with, like shutting down other people and saying that they only feel a way because of what history has presented. I can say that as someone who's never bought into the patriarchy. I've never bought into I think men like this, so I should be this way. I think this, so I should be that way. Never bought into that type of stuff, you know? So because of that, it's important. I think it's just, I want to say, don't make it sound like someone's not making a choice for themselves because it's not the choice you agree with. I get that it's important to educate someone. It's important to let them know that there are choices, but if that is their choice, you should respect their choice. You should be understanding and be tolerant of someone else. That's kind of where I stand on that. I've just been hearing that a lot, and I'm kind of like, I think that is a little delusional. I think that if a woman wants to get married early on in her life, I know people who do want to be moms, and I don't think it's necessarily because of the patriarchy. It's just because they love children, because they love the sanctity of family, and that just is what that is. So I think, let's just have a little more tolerance. Let's be a little more lighthearted in these word choices, and not saying you don't say it, right? I'm just saying don't make it sound like somebody is damned if they don't choose what you choose. Going into our what we watching, this is the part of the episode that I've been dying to talk about. Guys, if you haven't seen it already, I gave you your time. It's been 2 weeks and I need to talk about it. If you do not know about a man named Christopher Nolan, I think that you're living under a rock. I think that you've missed some of the best cinema of your life. Let me just stop here for 2.5 seconds. Christopher Nolan is the man who made me truly want to become a film director. He introduced me to some of the most visually capturing things I've ever seen in my life, to some of the most complex concepts and rules that I've ever seen in my life that seem to just make sense. And it just seems to be the craziest thing. He's taught me about sacrifice. He's taught me about love, about pandering. He's taught me about sorrow and about depth. Let me tell you guys some of my favorite Christopher Nolan movies. I'm going Inception, Interstellar. I just watched Tenet, a banger. The Dark Knight trilogy, a banger. We have The Odyssey. He just came out with that best. We have all these movies. I aspire to be a tenth of as good as Mr. Nolan is. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. I am someone who does believe in Nolan's supremacy. And getting into the movie of what we watched, and it is called The Odyssey. The Odyssey came out in 2026, a couple of weeks ago. The Odyssey has a star-studded cast. Let me read off some of the names to you guys. We have Matt Damon, Travis Scott, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, Zendaya, Robert Pattinson, Elliot Page. We have Miss Lupita, and we also have Miss Charlize Theron. Let me tell you guys, if you've never read The Odyssey, I read The Odyssey when I was in high school. It is something that I didn't think that I was overly interested in. I thought it was a great story, but it wasn't like whatever. I've always been a very movie heavy person. I like seeing it. I like visuals. I'm someone who reads and then I like create the pictures in my head type situation, right? So moving forward, I went to go see this movie, and when I saw it in the movie theater in the previews a couple of months ago, I almost shit my pants in the seat. I knew at that very moment it was going to be 1,000 times better than anything that was ever made to have been previewed in the movie theater I had seen in the last year, and it was so good. The Odyssey has to go out to be one of my favorite depictions of a story. I cannot say it's a favorite movie because it's not original, but it is good. I can say that. The Odyssey, it has so many great aspects in it. The story goes bar for bar with what the story says. You have the sirens, you have the Cyclops, you have Troy, you have the falling of Troy. You get to see Helen, you get to see her story. You see the duality between Anne Hathaway's love and her anger, her scornness, and she did such an amazing job with that. I love the way that they kept Zendaya so mysterious throughout the thing, and then you get to really see who she is at the end. I love the ghost, the haunting, the dog. The dog was so I love the dog. I love the dog. Everyone's storytelling in this film was really, really amazing. The scenery was beautiful. I myself went to go see it in the 70 millimeter, and it was gorgeous. I heard that they took to parts of the globe to film this movie, and I'm so glad that they did. The scenes were so just strikingly gorgeous. The makeup between all of the actors, it was so great. The story and the way that they like tell you about every piece of it, and the way that they really went into detail with how they chose to show things, the fighting, the way that they like rated the attacks. It was all very beautifully put. If you have not seen this movie, I definitely think that you should go see this movie. I think that it is a 5.5 out of 5 stars, and I think that's really high, but this is a movie that I just think is so gorgeous. The story up until the very end, I will say that hoe is long. It is extremely long, but it is worth every bit of those 2 hours and 52 minutes. And yes, the sound is beautiful. And I just want to give a special shout out to the Cyclops and to the scene where they actually snuck out as the sheep. And it literally brought me back to my childhood reading that and being like, you guys told this story so beautifully. When he gets back and when they go to kind of sail the world at the end, it was just so well put all the way through. I think this movie, top 10 out of 10. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, you definitely should go see it. If you haven't read the book, you should read the book. It's very, very good, very great story overall. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is the end of the episode. I would love to know what you guys are watching and all that kind of stuff. If you like the show, if you like me, if you like being here, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're an audio listener, please be sure to rate the show up above. And I love to have you guys. If you're interested in more about what I do in the behind the scenes of my life, or just seeing what the production company does in the behind the scenes, you are more than welcome to follow us here at all of these social media platforms, and they will also be linked in the description. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching another episode of the You're Delusional podcast. The You're Delusional podcast is produced by LT Legacy Productions and hosted by LaTerra Wair.